Welcome back to another episode of the Launchpad podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about client acquisition and retention strategies across a variety of different businesses, not just sales or service. All that and more coming up right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Launchpad podcast. I'm very happy to be here once again with the wonderful Tina Hay from Puzzle Media. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
And now that we've got over our audiovisual technical difficulties that we had prior to starting the recording, today's episode is going to be about client acquisition, client retention, and looking at different strategies and approaches for different industry types and business models. So, Tina, why don't you take it away and get us off and running?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I thought this was a good one because it's the main reason that people engage us at Puzzle Media, and I'm sure it's the same for launch experts. It's because they often are wanting to, increase their inquiries, increase their sales, increase what they're doing, their activity. And so, you have acquisition, which is bringing on board new clients and new customers. And then you also have retention, which is keeping them. And marketing plays such a big part in both of those areas. So I thought today we could just talk about some of the different industries that we work with at Puzzle Media. And I'm sure there's lots of crossover. And just share some of what's working for them at the moment in terms of, we'll start with acquisition, we'll talk a bit about that, and then we can talk about retention later on. So when it comes to acquisition, when we talk about acquisition, it's acquiring new clients and new customers. So we're not talking about acquiring other businesses. I know sometimes that term can be a bit confusing for some people. But really what we're talking about is how are you generating inquiries and making the phones ring in your business. And there's a number of ways to do this, as we know. So when we look at our core group of clients that are in that service-based industry, and we'll look at trades. So we'll start with trades. We work with a number of clients across this, within the trades. So we work with a group of plumbers, we've got electricians, we've got cabinet makers, we've got people that are in the tree maintenance and landscaping space. And all of those people they're in a situation where they've got large teams of 20, 30 plus people working for them. And they need ongoing work to be coming in to be able to, maintain their staffing levels and also just maintain that revenue that they need to be hitting and more. And so what we're using for them is really your, SEO, Google advertising. Some of them we're doing some social media for in terms of maintaining that presence and also a little bit of advertising. I guess it depends on the type of trade, but these are typically areas that people are going to Google and searching, or they're going to a search engine and searching for these things. Okay, they need someone now, they kind of know what they want, and they're using them for that. We also work with a builder, and they're a high-end builder, and so what we do for them is, and we've done SEO for them in the past, and what we're doing for them now is we're creating their social and managing their social media content. And speaking to the owner there, he is under no sort of disillusion that a Facebook post or an Instagram post is going to sell him in on a, $1 million new house build. But what he does like is that when people refer to them, to the building company, those people are then going onto Instagram, they're going onto Facebook, and they're having a look at the quality of the work and the type of projects that they've worked on. So it almost works like a social media gallery. So there's lots of different ways to kind of tap into social and online. That's some of the stuff that we're doing at a top line level. We are doing some email marketing as well with a couple of clients where, once they're kind of coming in the door, they will, usually it's a phone call or an email inquiry. And then once they've kind of gone through that process, they've gone through that quoting process with one particular client. If they have not converted at that point, they then go into an email funnel, and an email funnel just being a series of emails that they're sent, not to annoy anyone, not to spam anyone, but just to remind them that they're there and, to not forget about them. Because this is the other thing is people, if we think about consumers and think about how, I guess, we make our purchasing decisions, I know I make inquiries for things that maybe are not an immediate need, but I'm just trying to suss out some pricing or what I need to know. So I am that person that needs that follow-up. I need someone to kind of hassle me a little bit to say, hey, are you going ahead with this or not? Because it's not necessarily that I don't want to go ahead with that particular person. It's just life gets busy, right? So we're doing some email marketing with some of those, with one client in particular around that as well. What about you, Stuart?
Yeah, it's funny what you said about, we're sort of talking about service type businesses with tradies and things like that. And I think that's in some ways when people ask like, oh, what do you guys do at your business? Elevator pitch type stuff. Really at the end of the day, for the majority of our clients, we just make the phone ring for them. They don't really care whether we're using Google Ads or SEO or whatever it is. They just want the phone ring, and they're not really bothered with how it happens in the background. Most people just want phone calls from their customers so they can go and work their business. They're not interested in marketing until there's kind of a problem and it's not doing something. And I also think that when you're talking about different types of acquisition strategies, your example of the tradie or the plumber is a really good one, because there's a particular type of need and urgency around that type of a service. Like if you've got a busted pipe, you probably don't need to go into like a long, complicated nurture sequence. You want to freaking talk to someone right now. There's an element of the urgency and the priority of whatever the service that they provide. And then I think there's also an element of how much does it cost, or how complicated is the service going to be, that I think that generally as the cost goes up and as the complexity of the service goes up, that the amount of time that's generally required from initial contact to sale tends to extend out. You could say that like one of our clients is Solar Heart. We do a lot of work for Solar Heart generating leads. You could say that those guys are plumbers on paper, but the sales cycle for a plumber that's trying to fix a busted pipe is like that. It starts and finishes like within 10 seconds of the phone call happening. But the sales cycle for a solar hot water system, that system might be worth $5,000 or whatever it is. So that process is going to take quite a bit longer and require more steps and more people involved, and it's complex. In addition to the high cost of it. So, the process is often quite a bit different.
Going back to your point about the cost, 100% agree. We've got one of our clients who is a plumber. They do that emergency plumbing. So, that is the phone calls. I need someone now. But they also do new bathroom renovations. Okay, so that's something that works really well across social media as well as, search and Google and what have you. So, it's not always a fit for them to be on social media for all of their services. For some clients, it's some services that work better across different platforms. And as you say, most clients, they're not too fussed how you're doing it. They just want those incoming inquiries. Something that has come up, again, with these types of clients it's that always, bringing people in, but they're not always great at keeping in touch with those people. And so that's something that we've done where sometimes we're managing it for them in the past, but also we're encouraging clients, if they don't want us to manage it for whatever reason, to do it in-house, and to have that constant communication going on with their clients via email. Email marketing, it's the most cost-effective way of getting in front of someone. Even if they're not opening that email, they're still seeing it in their inbox. Even if they delete it, it's a little reminder to their subconscious that, ABC Plumbing is still around, and they're the ones that they're going to remember next time they have that emergency. Because that's the other thing, when you're in that, I just need something done now, you don't always remember the person that you've actually contacted unless they're keeping in touch with you. So, clients invest quite a lot. Our clients invest, pretty heavily on acquiring new clients and customers. So we really encourage them to try and maximize the lifetime value of that client or customer. And the lifetime value, for anyone that's not across that, is working out, if you have one client or one customer, how many times do they tend to come back to you and buy from you? So if they spend, if you're doing a pest inspection, a termite, what's it called? A termite service.
Treatment or something, yeah.
A treatment, that's the word. A treatment, like a pest treatment. You might get that done annually and it's $200, but you know that every year you go back to the same person, and on average your clients are sticking around for about 5 years. So you know that client, every time you acquire a client, it's about $1,000 if you put in the effort. So really getting across your numbers. I know we talk about numbers, and we've talked about numbers over the past couple of podcasts that we've done, but really being aware of your numbers to understand, well, how much does it cost me to acquire a new client or customer, and what is the lifetime value of that client or customer? If you're just selling, a $10 kind of product and it's a one-off and they're not going to buy it again, you're going to have to work really, really hard at getting your cost per acquisition ridiculously low. But if you are selling the higher end solar systems and all the rest of it, to hot water systems, whatever it might be, bathroom renos, you're going to get fewer, but obviously higher value. So people generally will not do a bathroom renovation more than once every, it depends, I don't know. We've done a few over the years personally, but, once every 5 years, let's say. So, you have to think about your cost per acquisition. But, when it comes to sort of lead generation for those clients, definitely your search, your advertising, and social media can work really well as well.
And you brought up a really interesting point about getting repeat purchases from existing customers. And, obviously if you are new to business, you don't have any clients, so that's fine. You are purely 100% acquisition focused. That's all you care about. But a lot of people that we speak to will contact us and say, well, we want to make more money, so therefore we need more clients so that we can get more sales. But they've been in business for 5 years, 10 years, and probably, serviced thousands and thousands of people over the years. And they're potentially sitting on an absolute gold mine, but they just haven't tapped into it yet. Because I think the studies show that it's about 6 or 7 times cheaper to generate a sale from somebody who's purchased from you before than to generate a sale from somebody who's never done business with you. So, like you said, knowing your numbers is really important. But if you go, okay, well, I know it costs $150 to generate a new customer who buys something for the first time. Well, then you might be paying $15, $20 to generate a repeat purchase from somebody who's bought from you previously. And when you think about the psychology and the logic, it's pretty self-explanatory. You go and buy, a boat from a company, and then they send you a message and go, hey, you just bought that new U-Butte boat. Here's some accessories that people often purchase with that particular boat. How about a wakeboard or some life jackets, or okay, you're not going to sell them a second boat most likely, but you can probably in that scenario probably make several $1,000s worth of additional follow-up purchases just by going, hey, you bought this thing, why not buy this as well? You probably need it anyway, so you may as well get it from here. And so long as they had a good experience the first purchase, they'll probably do that because you're a safe option.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you who's really good at doing this is Amazon. So for any of you that are out there that are selling products, if you want an example of how it's done well, go onto Amazon and just add anything you want, anything into your cart. They're going to give you a whole list of things that are actually really useful. I bought a wireless keyboard the other day. It's given me, chargers. It's given me options for different USB things and all these, I'm kind of like gone down this rabbit hole, and before I know it, got an Amazon package coming that I don't even know what's in there anymore. So, but it is very cleverly done. And I see, we don't work with, a huge amount of e-commerce businesses, but the ones that are doing it well are really the ones that know how to, I think this, what you're talking about, Stuart, can work for service-based businesses, but also product-based businesses. It's a really good way of, you've bought this. This is also, people that bought this also bought this. If you've bought this pair of jeans, try these shoes and this bag and what have you. And before you know it, you're what was going to be maybe a couple of $100 purchase then doubles. So, but if you don't ask, you won't, you won't receive. It is as simple as that. I always get I don't know if you guys do, but I get the objection of, I don't want to hassle people. If I email them all the time, I don't want to hassle them. Do you guys ever kind of get that?
Yeah, I think there is definitely a fear of being intrusive or like a sleazy salesperson or something like that. Or just maybe it's just a general fear of rejection. And that happens. I find people are sometimes like that. Never mind it being a follow-up purchase. Even that first purchase, it's like, but they called you. So they're not going to be bothered. They're expecting you to contact them back. They actually kind of want that. And until they turn around and go, oh, no, I'm good, I went somewhere else. Well, that's fine. Like, that's okay.
Yeah, I know it is. It is interesting. It kind of plays a little bit into maybe that could be another episode, kind of buyer psychology, or not even buyer, but business psychology, and why we kind of don't do the things we're supposed to do. I had a really interesting call with a couple that are working together, and we're talking about doing some stuff with them, and there are so many obvious gaps in what they could be doing, where they've been in business quite a while, they've got this database, they're not emailing anyone, they've got all of these people on LinkedIn, they're not posting any content, they're doing a really, really small budget on Google Ads, which is working incredibly well for them. But there are these untapped opportunities that are actually, once they've got them set up, are going to be pretty low cost, apart from creating some content. But the conversation was, but we don't want to hassle people. I don't want to hassle. I don't want to post all the time on my LinkedIn. It's kind of like, well, how are people going to know what you do? Like, how are people going to engage with you and, converse with you if you're not reminding them that you're there? Because someone that has worked with you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 2 years ago, they're not going to remember. And
in worst case, if you post something on LinkedIn and no one interacts with it, what do you lose? Nothing. Exactly. And even if you found it that mortifying and embarrassing that nobody liked the post or something, we just delete the post.
Absolutely. It's so like, how wrong can you get it? I mean, it's I do find it, and it comes down to mindset. Some of this comes down to mindset and just being open to, okay, well, I'm open to these opportunities and I'll do what it takes. And those are the types of clients we absolutely love working with. And this couple, I think they're just not quite ready to do, what's needed to get them there. And it's a shame because they've got an amazing business and they just need to get out of their own way, basically. Which I did say to them. I did kind of say, guys, you do realise you're kind of
doing this to yourself
up a bit. And they were like, yeah, we know, but. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And I can sort of understand some of the hesitation when it comes to email marketing sometimes. And even I get a bit like, if you've not done email marketing before and you upload this list, and most email services will have thresholds of, bounce rates or spam complaints and things like that.
Yeah.
So there is a genuine risk of, if you're just suddenly emailing 10,000 people that you've never emailed before, that can actually be bad. So I definitely, in that scenario, I can understand being a little overly cautious, that first one or two times until you get people warmed up and or not many people are unsubscribing and things like that.
Yeah.
But if it's just social posts, like just whatever, just go for it.
Just put them up. Exactly what's going to happen.
It's funny when you're talking about e-commerce businesses, I think that e-commerce in pretty much most categories is so competitive now that really the companies that are surviving and thriving and are the ones that understand the lifetime value or even the 12-month value of a customer, because they're able to make the calculation of, okay, even if I make $0 on the first purchase, I know that over 12 months, I can email them and send them this and that. And that on average, they will spend X amount more. And when you're armed with that knowledge, it enables those advertisers to go, I'm okay with paying $10 to acquire a new customer or $20, whereas their competitors down the road that are trying to make their money back on that first purchase, they're like, I can only afford to pay $6 because they're only going to spend $10 in their first purchase. Whereas the big guys are like, we know it doesn't matter. Even if we lose $1, we know that in 3 months' time, we're going to be in the black as far as that customer is concerned. And over the course of a year, we're going to be making X amount more than we were last year and more than most other people are. So it's, I think in a lot of those scenarios, if you're not leveraging all of those opportunities with the upsells and cross sells and repeat purchases and nurturing people for repeat sales, you're probably going to struggle to be competitive.
Yeah, I agree. And when you talk to sort of, bigger organizations, and I think about, some of the old clients that I used to manage back in agency days, back in London, and, typically those big organizations, when they're launching something new, they are expecting to make a loss for the first 2 or 3 years. Right, they are expecting it. I think what happens is, the smaller the business, the bigger the risk, right? So where you've got smaller businesses like yours and mine, where we're not in a position to not produce revenue for 6 months or 12 months just to experiment with a few new things. Like most businesses are not in that position where they can say, okay, you know what, I don't need to make any kind of profit whatsoever for the next 6 to 12 months. Most are living sort of month to month, but at best, 2 or 3 months, you should really have up your sleeve. But going back to, those bigger organizations, they are ready to pump money into something and make that loss and make those lessons through the loss to get them to where they need to be, because they know that, often when it comes to e-commerce, the first time you acquire a customer, like you say, Stuart, sometimes you're losing. But, there are the smaller businesses that are the one-man bands, couple of man bands, even, smaller teams, where they're really wanting to see a result straight away. And that's not always the case, especially if you're not doing all the follow-up.
Absolutely. I think, I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Alex Hormozy.
Oh, yeah, that rings a bell.
He's all over my social media right now, probably because I follow him. But I watched a talk where he essentially said, when you make a sale, if it generates enough money that it pays for the acquisition of 2 new customers, then you're good to go, basically, which is actually a really simple way of looking at it.
Yeah,
really, really simple. And if you aren't, then potentially your prices need to go up. Or, if you can squeeze your acquisition cost down, yeah, of course. But if you can't, if you know it always costs $50 to generate, to create a new customer, then you know where the minimum standard is for your pricing to be able to have reliable growth going forward. And if you think, oh, well, my stuff isn't worth $100 per sale or $150 per sale, well, then you maybe need to find some way of increasing the value, offering a better quality thing or a bonus or something like that, so that you can justify those increased prices. Because essentially, as soon as you reach that equilibrium of cost to generate generate 2 sales versus the cost of one, the revenue for 1 sale, then your growth just kind of automatically goes up, basically.
Yeah. And I think with that, I really like that equation, actually, and that makes sense. I'm just picking up on what you said about offer and packaging up things. That's the other thing that I think we've only just touched on, we started talking about trades, and we'll talk about some other industries. But I think that's something that businesses that are both in the e-commerce space and also in the service-based industry space really need to have a look at, if they haven't already, is how they are packaging up their services in a way that is going to give their clients and their customers the best results, the best outcomes, and also how are they making that look attractive so it's a no-brainer, I want to do it. I think that is something that is often missing, and it's something that we do a little bit of work with clients on, where they're coming and they're kind of saying, we just want the phones to ring. And it's like, well, okay, what's your offer? What are your packages? What are you doing here? And what is the, where is your customer now? And where are they going to be once they've engaged with your services? What's that journey that you take them through? And that's what we need to talk to. But really, if you are a small business out there and you're thinking, okay, I know that I'm doing some of this stuff right, but it's still not quite moving the way I need it to, really have a look. I encourage you to have a look at your offers and have a look at how you're packaging up things.
And what about not-for-profit? We don't really work in that space, but you obviously do?
Yeah, we do some stuff with not-for-profit. So we've done bits and pieces over the years. The main area that we've focused on is fundraising. So typically when not-for-profits are working on their fundraising campaigns, they will put, a lot of kind of energy into those. So typically fundraising campaigns will happen at, end of financial year. There might be, a Christmas appeal. There might be one around, typically there'd be 2 or 3 different big kind of appeals a year for a traditional not-for-profit. I know that COVID changed a lot for not-for-profits, because if you think about a traditional kind of charity, they will, they earn money through volunteers, being active in the community. They earn money through events. They earn money from being very present physically as well as online. So COVID did actually just kill a lot of that. And so, the not-for-profits that we have been working with and dealt with since then have kind of shifted what they're doing a little bit, where they're really wanting to rely on those regular donations. And I think all charities rely on regular donations. That is how they, that's how they fundraise. But with the appeals, where we're getting involved are things like Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, social media content, email marketing content, and so on and so forth. So depending on the size of the not-for-profit, often they will have someone that is doing a bit of marketing in-house. So the clients that we work with, they tend to use us as on those one-off kind of appeals and campaigns, fundraising campaigns, or when they're having, staff leaving or kind of entering and exiting roles, and they'll get us involved in certain things. But it's definitely an area that is extremely rewarding to work in. And you kind of see a whole different way of doing things. But ultimately, it's still that acquisition model, right? Where they are going out there, and some of the, donations that they receive are just those one-offs, and some of them become regular donors, which means that they could, commit to giving whatever it is each month, and that just comes out and that's done. And that's, that might be on an individual basis. It might be people salary sacrificing through corporate sponsorship and things like that. We've never really done a lot with things like the corporate sponsorship. Again, some of the larger charities, they tend to have someone responsible for that, for their corporate sponsorship. So that person is going out there and they're very active in the community. What I find with those, typically people with those roles, they're very active on LinkedIn, because that is their little black book of people that they need to connect with. So they're the ones that are going to the local networking events. They're really having that physical presence at community events. They are engaging one-on-one with the decision makers at some of the larger firms of businesses that are around, and they're driving things that way. But it's definitely an interesting space. But when you break down the numbers, again, what they're looking at, and when they, the CEOs have to go and report to the board, what they're looking at is how much is it costing us to acquire a donor, a regular donor. So again, it's all down to the numbers.
Let's switch gears and talk about B2B, because we've kind of, when we're talking about e-com and service, we sort of tend to be, well, I definitely do default to talking about B2C, which for anybody that doesn't know is business to consumer, which is the plumber relationship with the lady who has a busted pipe. That's B2C. B2B is like, for example, for me, if I'm going and looking for a software package and I'm doing some searches online, that's a B2B or business to business transaction. So that scenario is something that I'm very familiar with, because I'm always looking at different software packages and how I can make things more efficient and, provide a better service for our clients. So I've been looking at 10 different softwares over the last month. It's been horrible. But as soon as you go to their website and let's say you schedule a demo, or you download whatever the ebook is that explains the feature set or something, you're instantly going to expect to be retargeted on Facebook, Instagram, probably LinkedIn, probably YouTube. If you gave them your email address, you're also expecting to be receiving, well, whatever the thing is that you wanted to download, but then almost certainly some kind of follow-up emails. And that's what people are referring to when they talk about this omni-channel approach to marketing, which is once you enter their web, you're screwed. No, once you interact with them, they are going to take every opportunity to show you testimonials or case studies or whatever it might be to help nudge you along to the point where you're ready to purchase or book a sales demo, or essentially go down to the next stage in the sales process. Yeah,
I love that. And same, you're right. You get hit so much now with in all directions. And I think, just going back to my point that I said earlier, I forget about things. Like I will Google something. I'll spend, an hour looking at something, and then I get sidetracked because something's happened. And, it kind of, if I'm not getting reminded, then I'm forgetting about that software. And the amount of things that the amount of subscriptions we have, I'm sure you're the same. And, some of them are because I looked into something and then I've been hit time and time again. And I'm kind of like, you know what? I like their marketing. Let's just give it a go, and sign up and see what they've got to offer. The stuff that we do in the B2B space, so we do a little bit with some professional service firms. So we've got a couple of law firms. We've got a group of accountants that we work with. I actually spoke this morning to a group of financial planners, so hoping to bring some of them on board as well. And when you're looking at kind of B2B and professional services, where, so say the accountant is dealing with businesses, other business owners, some of those buyer cycles tend to be a little bit longer depending on, again, what is needed. So if someone's in a situation where they've just found out their accountant's been ripping them off or their bookkeeper's not been doing the right thing, there is an immediate need, right? So they're going to, that sales cycle might be a little bit shorter. But someone that might be just shopping around and I'm not sure I'm getting what I need from my existing accountant. I think I could be getting more. I'm not really sure, where to go because I've been with this person for such a long time. That kind of scenario, it is a longer sales cycle. And so what we're doing at the moment with the clients that are in that space is really just heavy on things like blog posts, newsletters, social media, so that we are meeting people where they are. For some of those firms, of course, Google Ads, SEO, of course, work. For others, it's just too competitive to even kind of try and go. I know we spoke about this before, but, it is just too competitive to try and, compete on Google Ads or, use SEO to try and target for a mortgage broker, let's say. That's going back to B2C though. So with the B2B, I know what does work is really a lot of that kind of thought leadership style content where it is being shared on LinkedIn and it is kind of going a little bit deeper than just the fluff. Running webinars can work really well to, it's great for lead generation and just building that funnel where you are, you're bringing them into your kind of stratosphere and then you are remarketing to them, you're marketing to them through email, but you're starting off by giving, and with B2B, and it's something that we do, I know at Puzzle, we give a lot of free info out there with the, we give it out there for free and a lot of people take that info and, there is a small percentage that then engage with us as a result of that. So that's great. And there are some people that take that free info and they use it and they apply it and it's working for where they are in their business. And that's also great. So, again, for the B2B clients out there, have a think about, is there something that I can run a webinar or a lunch and learn on or develop a lead magnet for? So a downloadable PDF that gives people a guide to XYZ. So really have a think about how that could fit in with what you're offering. And just also knowing that with B2B, sometimes it is a longer sales cycle depending on the cost of your service or product.
And I want to I know we kind of talked about email already, but I'm going to talk about it again because, one thing that you remember when Facebook first came out and you could just post anything and it would essentially go viral.
It's just amazing. I love those days.
Everyone would see
getting leads for 50 cents.
Yeah. And then gradually the reach goes down and down and down as the user base grows. And then you have to buy ads and everyone cry, oh, it's so unfair. How are they, like, as though they're providing like a public service, like it's air or something like that. Oh, we're entitled to whatever. When Instagram came out, same thing, massive reach, and then it goes down. Oh, Instagram's doing the same thing that Facebook did. And then
so evil.
Yeah. And then TikTok. Oh my gosh, the reach on TikTok is getting worse. How could this happen 3 times? If you have an audience on social media, whatever the channel is, you must do everything in your power to get them into your email database at a minimum. And if you're not, then you really have nothing to complain about when the reach essentially goes and you can't just spam out your latest offers and price lists and be disappointed when no one sees it because it's a garbage post. You must be capturing those people so that you actually own their details, not Facebook or Instagram. Yeah. And because essentially when you don't own their information, you have to pay Facebook to access it in the form of ads. If you have thought ahead and actually, like you said, offered something for free, some little PDF download that will probably take you half a day to generate and has a little bit of value, allows you to capture their details. And then if you want to communicate with that person, you can email them direct, essentially for free. Or if you've given something that's valuable enough that they gave their phone number as well, you can call them up or send them a text message. And what you don't have to do is put money into Facebook or Instagram because you want to push out an ad to them. That is the game that has to be played. And I really have to hope that each successive time that a new platform comes out, people learn this lesson, but it seems like a lot of people don't, and they're just waiting for the next TikTok to come out that they can jump onto and, put their, average quality posts up and hope that it just gets seen by everyone.
And this is like the whole, one of the main bonuses of social media is you get to move people onto your website and onto your email list. Like, that is the goal as a business. Yes, engage with them on social media. Some people, I know people that get quite a lot of clients through social media, through, direct messaging and all the rest of it, doing it that way, attraction marketing. That works well for people, say, in the coaching space, okay, where they don't need hundreds and hundreds of clients. They need a handful each month, maybe. And so that approach can work well. But when you're talking about scaling businesses, that's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable to do that unless you've got a full team that are acting on behalf of, your page and DMing and doing all of that jazz, and obviously using chatbots and what have you. But I've lost my point. Hang on.
You're on a roll. I'm loving it.
No. But the whole point of social media is get them off there, have a conversation, engage with them on social media, get them off there and get them onto your list. And you're right. Every time a new platform, what was the one where it was audio? Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Is that Periscope?
It was Periscope, and then it changed to something else. And that's going to annoy me because I was on there. Have I still got it? I'm going to have a look. Clubhouse. Did you join Clubhouse?
I heard about that, and I think I wasn't invited to the club. So Clubhouse was audio, and it was kind of rooms like this. I say rooms. That's what they were called. They were called rooms, and you would join the room and you could, listen in. It sounds creepy.
Actually, now that I'm explaining it, little bit, but you had to have an invite. You had to be invited by someone. And it went off in the UK. Everyone was going on there. It was, everyone was built, there were courses being created within about a week of it launching of how to utilize Clubhouse to build your email list. But even that one, I think it's still going, but it died a bit of a death because then people were like, it's too busy and it's too noisy. And it's like, yeah, it's social media. That's what it's built to do, right? It's built to engage us and, shorten our attention spans by throwing so much information at us. But as a business, utilize it for good, utilize it to showcase what you're doing. Anyone that's doing B2B, if you are not utilizing LinkedIn, I just seriously cannot recommend it enough. Showing up on there, connecting with people that you want to do business with, connecting with potential referral partners, share a couple of quality posts every week. And that's it. Honestly, that's all it takes. And if you want to ramp up how many inquiries, connect with more people, share more content. It's not about being spammy. It's not about, DMing people on LinkedIn and private messaging them and telling them how amazing you are.
I'm so sick of that.
On the first, hi, Stuart, thanks for connecting with me. Have I told you? Let me take a minute to tell you how amazing I am.
Oh, my God.
Like, come on, people. We're not doing that anymore.
So last night, just for fun, I was sitting in front of the telly. I thought, I haven't been on LinkedIn for months, so I'm going to go on there, see what's what. I've got about 100 invitations from people I've never heard of.
I'm going to say, I did notice you connected with me, even though I asked you to connect like a year ago.
Yours was the only one where I was like, "Ooh, Tina." But everyone else, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to accept everybody's request, and there was like a lot. And I guess everybody has like an autoresponder set up, and it's just, hey, Stuart, here's what we do. It's like, man, I don't friggin' know you. Like, who are you? Yeah. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
And fair enough, we've connected, but at least buy me a drink first before you try to take me home.
It's so 100%.
People are just straight away going for the sales pitch, and I mean, I'm guessing they convert some people in that way. Otherwise, surely you wouldn't do it. But it's got to be so low.
So I'm right. So I'm going to put my hand up and say we were offering this as a service to clients about 4 years ago because it worked.
Okay.
This used to work, right? Because not everyone was doing it.
Mm.
It was a little bit, it wasn't as spammy as some of the stuff that I see coming through, but it was a, hey, Stuart, I noticed that you run a digital marketing agency. We just wrote a blog with a case study of someone we work with. Here it is. Send them to a blog. It was quite soft, and we obviously tailored it to the clients we were working with. It worked well. It worked okay. And then it just started increasing. Everyone was just doing a lot more of it, and it became spammy. And I actually just pulled that service because it didn't feel aligned with where we were at and what we wanted to kind of who we wanted to be. So we pulled that service from our offering. But, you know, what people are doing now, it is the old style. This is the digital version of cold calling on LinkedIn. This is what people are doing because they're kind of going, you know what, I'm going to get Sales Navigator. I'm going to send 100 messages a day. That's 500 messages a week. So from that, if I get 10 sales meetings, if I get 5 sales meetings, happy days. And so on and so forth. So it becomes this numbers game, but it is very icky. And I personally don't respond to them unless I have actually got on a couple of calls with people, but the way that they've approached it is very personalized and very like they've actually spent a minute to look at what I'm doing.
A whole minute to actually visit your website first.
And that's it. Yeah, literally. So
the bar is low.
Look, does it work? You know, it's kind of like, look, if you're going to, pardon the pun, but if you throw enough shit, something's going to stick at some point, right? It's not an approach that I personally love or take, but you know, some people it's a numbers game. So if you've got business development managers working in your business and they've got targets to hit, that's one of the ways that they can do that, and they can set that up through using AI and using software that just does that on autopilot. So,
and
you know, it's not, yeah.
And I think, and this kind of comes back to what we're talking about, advertisers, you know, the e-commerce people that are succeeding because they understand the lifetime value. I think a lot of novice advertisers or novice people that are new to marketing in general for their business, expecting a sale after the very first click and interaction, and, you know, sometimes feeling disappointed when, all these people clicked on my Facebook ad and through to my website, but, you know, only so many people actually signed up and no one purchased anything. Well, yeah, and that's okay. So now you have to do the legwork to start, hey, I noticed you downloaded the PDF, Sam. What kind of issues are you having with your photocopier or whatever it is? You know, is there any questions that you had after reading it? Oh, yeah, I'm struggling with my toner, or, you know, my photocopies look terrible, or whatever it is. Oh, cool. Maybe we can help you. You know, you get the opportunity to then have that conversation. Yes, it would be so great if people would just click the thing and just give you money straight away. Wouldn't it be so nice to live in that world? It is not often like that. Sometimes people get lucky. Most of the time, it's probably not going to be like that for most services.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think setting realistic goals as well of, you know, what is an average click-through rate and how many should I expect to convert from a, you know, if I get 100 people to my site, how many of them should really be inquiring? Being across those numbers for your industry is really key. Because then your expectations are realistic, and you can also do some planning, especially if it comes to, you know, doing paid advertising through whatever medium that you're choosing to use. How many website clicks do we need to, you know, if you know that some of the people that are clicking are converting, work out what your conversion stats are and then work backwards, right? What's a cost per click? How many people do I need to get there? And so on and so forth. So, you know, again, going back to the numbers in anything that you do in acquisition. We haven't really talked about the retention, but I would, you know, I think the you know, we touched on it, some of the email marketing, but really just keeping in touch with your clients, and your customers, and being, at the forefront of their mind is my advice. And so doing that through email marketing and social media is a really good way of just keeping in touch with your clients. And also, don't be scared to do a bit of remarketing to them. If you've got, a list of clients or customers that you haven't worked with for a little while, and they're not really interacting on your emails list, they're not really opening anything, they're not doing anything with your socials, don't be scared to reach out and connect with them directly on LinkedIn. If you haven't, don't be scared to do a small retargeting campaign through Facebook or LinkedIn. You can do some paid ads using those lists of people, depending on how you've got things set up. But that is another way of just reinvigorating an existing list. We had a client that came to us, it was a few years ago now, and they came to us for Facebook advertising. He was adamant, he was selling boat trailers. He was adamant he wanted to do Facebook advertising. So he had, a boat trailer business, and he also had a promotional product business. And so we looked at some Facebook ads for the boat trailers. That was working okay. And then with the promotional products, he said, no, I definitely want to do Facebook ads. So we had a conversation, and it turned out he had a database of 17,000 people. So yeah, they'd never really done, they'd done a little bit of email marketing, but nothing probably for a good couple of years. So I said, okay, well, instead of doing, let's just pause the Facebook ads. Let's do a 6-week nurture campaign, obviously not to all 17,000 at the same time. We help them set that up and just do I think we're doing 200 or 300 emails at a time. That was working so well for them. All they ended up doing, we helped them set it up. We did emails, I think, with them for about 3 months. They then took that back in-house. And it was great. They got a great result, and I'm still on their email list, and I still get their emails. Once a week, they do an email out to everyone, and that is enough for them. So, don't always be focused on bringing new clients in. New clients are great, but just don't forget about all of the the potential that is sitting within your existing and your past clients and customers.
100%. And we're at 54 minutes. Have you seen that?
I did just see that, yeah. Okay.
Crazy. Is there anything that you desperately want to cover? I know it's fast, isn't it?
No, it goes really quick. Just on the email marketing, I just wanted to share a tool that you're probably across, Stuart, but I've only just found out about. It's called Milled, MILLED.com, and you can actually search. Does
it use AI?
Emails. Of course it does.
Oh, good, because otherwise I'm not interested.
It basically scours. So you could put in Cotton On as a brand, and it will bring up all of their email marketing, so you can see what they're doing. So you can search on brands, or you can search by keyword. So if you are a family law firm, you can search family law, and it will show you all the emails okay, I'm assuming you haven't heard of it, because that was my face when I was like, "Ooh, this is cool."
Wait, are these?
I'm not an expert on it. I just discovered it like last.
These are actual. So. These aren't just like templates that are good for florists. These are actual.
No. These are emails, actual emails that are out there that people are sending their clients and customers.
Wow.
Just a side note, apparently they're quite good for grabbing any discount codes you need as well for the online shoppers amongst us.
Wow.
But use it for inspiration. So I had a little play with it last week. Really good for just getting some ideas for what are other brands putting out there. This is not we're going to copy what they're doing. This is for inspiration. Like, use it for inspiration.
You could totally copy what they're doing though, if you wanted to.
I know, but I thought it was, I've never seen anything like that before when it comes to emails. So I thought that was really interesting.
Wow. Very cool. I like it. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to take a look.
No problem. That's your afternoon taken care of.
Oh, yeah. Like I didn't have enough to distract me. I got like 10 million AI tools that I want to look at.
Oh, stop. I know. But one of my team sent another one through the other day. I can't remember what it's called. I'll remember and share with it now. Bark, I think it is. Bark AI?
Bark?
I think so. That might be wrong. She said it's better than ChatGPT.
Oh, you're talking about Bard. Are you talking about Bard? Google Bard?
Bard.
I've not used it, actually.
Yes. No, I haven't either. Okay.
Why the hell
Bard,
would you
yes.
call it Bard? Such a bad name.
No.
All right, now I'm going to, thanks. Now I've got two things to do this afternoon. Ladies and gents, that is going to bring us to the end of our episode for another week of the Launchpad podcast. I want to firstly thank Tina again for being here. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. I love it.
And for you guys at home, thanks for listening in and subscribing on whatever platform, Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple Music. I don't know what the Apple one is called. Whatever. The Apple platform. Thank you very much for listening. Yeah, for listening on the Apple thing or whatever other device or platform you happen to be tuning on from. We appreciate you listening in. And we're going to see you next week for another episode of the Launchpad.